Gary the Snail, SpongeBob's loyal pet. He might seem like just a background character with his cat-like meows, but what if there's more to it? What if those simple meows actually carry hidden meanings, showing off Gary's intelligence and emotions in ways we've never noticed? Let's dive into the mystery of Gary's meows, figure out what they might really mean, and uncover why SpongeBob might be the only one who truly gets him. Part 1. A snail unlike any other. Gary isn't your average snail. At first glance, he seems like a typical pet, meowing like a cat and living a chill life. But when you really pay attention, it's clear Gary's way smarter than he lets on. In a lot of ways, he's the brains behind SpongeBob's chaotic world, often being the logical, problem-solving sidekick to SpongeBob's impulsive and over-the-top personality. He's way more than just a pet. He's the quiet genius keeping things together. A great example of Gary's smarts is in Have You Seen This Snail? When SpongeBob forgets to feed him and he runs away, Gary doesn't just scrape by, he thrives. He navigates the rough streets of Bikini Bottom, finds shelter with an old lady, and quickly figures out she's a snail killer after spotting a closet full of empty shells. Instead of freaking out, Gary stays calm, comes up with a plan, and escapes just in time. His ability to read the situation and act on it shows just how sharp he really is.
Go to waste, do you? They were labor of love. Oh, don't worry, Miss Topsy.
But it's not just about survival. Gary's shown some pretty advanced skills, like playing the violin and even paying SpongeBob's bills. These little moments are big clues that Gary's always paying attention and picking up the slack where SpongeBob falls short. He's not just a pet, he's the one quietly keeping things running when SpongeBob's too caught up in his own world. What's really cool is Gary's social intelligence. His meows aren't just random, they're often warnings or signs of disapproval when SpongeBob's about to do something reckless. Take the Great Snail Race. When SpongeBob pushes him too hard, Gary meows in protest because he couldn't do it anymore. Afterwards, Gary spots Squidward's snail, the one he has a crush on, and suddenly, the pain doesn't matter anymore. There he shows not just his social intelligence, but also his ability to be motivated by love for another snail. It's moments like these that make Gary such a fascinating and layered character.
Wasn't listening. You did? Oh, Gary! Oh, Gary!
What?
Gary?
Gary's intelligence isn't in your face, but it's always there. He works behind the scenes, guiding SpongeBob, solving problems, and even cleaning up messes when things go off the rails. When you really think about it, Gary might just be the real mastermind of the pineapple under the sea. And that's just the start of it. Wait until you see how it all connects. Part 2. The evolution of Gary's communication. At first glance, Gary's meows seem like typical pet sounds. Just a quirky trait that makes him SpongeBob's lovable sidekick. But when you really pay attention, it's clear his meows are way more than random noises. Over time, Gary's communication has evolved, adapting to fit his needs and the situation. One big clue to Gary's intelligence comes from sleepy time, where we see inside his dream. Instead of meowing, he speaks in full, sophisticated sentences, showing his mind is way more advanced than his usual cat-like sounds suggest.
SpongeBob?
Gary?
How dare you invade the sanctity of my dreams?
Gary, you can talk!
In dreams, one is not tethered by earthly limitations.
What does that mean?
Come.
This makes you wonder, if Gary can think and speak clearly in his dreams, does that mean he chooses not to talk in real life? Are his meows actually a deliberate way of communicating, not just a limitation? Then there's Chatterbox Gary, where he wears a translation collar, finally letting everyone hear what he's saying.
1, 2. Ah, that's more like it. Hello there, Papa Bob.
The moment he starts talking, it's obvious Gary has always had thoughts, opinions, and even sarcasm. He was just stuck using meows because that's how snails are supposed to communicate. This means every meow is actually a choice, a way for Gary to connect with SpongeBob without revealing how smart he really is. But it's not just about when he speaks, it's about when he doesn't. In Shell Shocked, SpongeBob replaces Gary's shell and Gary refuses to meow or even acknowledge him. It's his way of silently protesting, showing he knows how to use silence as a form of expression. And in Dumped, Gary leaves SpongeBob for Patrick, supposedly because Patrick feeds him, But was it really about food, or was Gary testing SpongeBob's loyalty? Given how smart he is, it's possible Gary knew exactly what he was doing, forcing SpongeBob to realize how much he takes him for granted. Gary's meows have always had meaning, but now it seems like he might be using them strategically. He knows SpongeBob is one of the few who understands him, and he uses that to his advantage. If Gary's been adapting how he communicates, what else has he figured out about the world that we've missed? Part 3. Are his meows a form of control? Most people assume that SpongeBob is the one in charge of taking care of Gary. But what if it's actually the other way around? Gary's meows might seem like simple pet noises, but they have a clear effect on SpongeBob's behavior. Every time Gary meows in a certain way, SpongeBob reacts, changing his actions, feeling guilty, or rushing to do whatever he thinks Gary wants. Is it possible that Gary uses his meows to subtly manipulate SpongeBob into giving him exactly what he needs? One of the most interesting examples of this comes from Shellback Shenanigans, where Plankton disguises himself as Gary to infiltrate SpongeBob's house. Since Plankton doesn't know how Gary communicates, his fake meows don't sound right, and SpongeBob immediately suspects something is wrong. This means that Gary's real meows have a unique tone or pattern that SpongeBob instinctively understands. It also proves that SpongeBob is deeply conditioned to respond to Gary's meows in a specific way, almost like Gary has trained him without SpongeBob realizing it.
Curses! I mean, meow.
Gary, are you sure you're feeling all right?
I've never felt better. I mean, meow?
Gary, you're turning green! And talking!
No, I'm not.
We gotta get you to the pet hospital!
Another example comes from Once Bitten, where Gary suddenly starts aggressively biting people in Bikini Bottom. Everyone assumes he's gone wild, but it turns out he was actually trying to tell them he had a splinter. This shows that Gary isn't just making noise for the sake of it. His meows and actions have a clear purpose, even if others don't immediately understand them. If we look at all these examples together, it becomes clear that Gary's meows aren't random at all. They are calculated, purposeful, and designed to influence SpongeBob and the people around him. While it might not be full-blown manipulation, Gary definitely knows how to use his voice to get what he wants. He may not speak like other characters, but in his own way, Gary has more control over his environment than anyone realizes. What do Gary's meows really mean? Gary's meows aren't just random noises, they're the key to understanding how smart he is, what he's feeling, and maybe even how he influences the people around him. Whether he's warning SpongeBob about danger, showing frustration, or subtly steering things his way, Gary's meows reveal that he's way more complex than most fans give him credit for. But the biggest takeaway is the bond between Gary and SpongeBob. Even with the occasional frustration or misunderstanding, Gary's meows show how strong their connection is. The fact that SpongeBob can understand him so well proves their relationship goes way beyond pet and owner. It's a real friendship built on trust, care, and understanding. So what do you think? Are Gary's meows just a fun quirk, or do they reveal something deeper about who he really is? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.